Hello, friends. I'm Graham, and this is my channel, Surreal Cinema. So if you're like me and you're a Doctor Who fan, there's a lot going on in the world right now with Doctor Who, a lot. And so we're gonna watch this video. This guy is breaking some serious information here. A lot of stuff's coming out, and so kind of want to get into this. Yeah, so go check out his channel. Give him some love for putting all this work together, and let's get into this. There's a lot here to unpack. This is crazy. So sit back and first off, we kind of already knew, a lot of the insiders kind of knew that they were going to cancel some stuff, but let's get into it.
Billie Piper was never going to do it. Like, this was never going to happen. As of recording this video, it has been just over 24 hours since the absolute bombshell hit the internet. Doctor Who's Christmas 2026 special is officially cancelled.
Kind of knew it. We kind of knew it, just a little bit.
Everyone and their mother has been humming Doctor in Distress for the past 24 hours. But if you're like me, you'll have had a little sneaking suspicion since yesterday that not all is as it seems. I showed evidence in yesterday's video that Russell T Davies had in fact written a script, despite him saying he hadn't. Murray Gold confirmed he'd seen 2 drafts of the script back in February. Russell actually said in a Doctor Who magazine in December that there were multiple words. Like here, you know how he just goes like, oh, Winternox, these are words from my script. Where did he pull these words from, if not the script? But today we've actually got 2 interesting sources to look at and break down, because when this news hit the internet, obviously it's gone everywhere. I mean, tomorrow I'm going to be doing a video probably titled something along the lines of like the aftermath of that Doctor Who announcement, because so many people have so many different things to say. So subscribe and stay tuned for that. If you
go subscribe to his channel for sure.
Everything Doctor Who related, this channel is the place to find it. The second news drops, we will be there with a news video for you guys. So help us get through the wilderness years by subscribing to this channel.
Again, this is where you can go to find it.
It's only £1.99 a month to get an extra weekly episode of the podcast. We discuss what you guys want. You guys are in control there, so any help is appreciated. But let's
go check him out.
The video. There's 2 sources today. One who claims that this is still happening, that there is a special or something.
There is a lot of back and forth, a lot of misinformation for sure.
A lot of people have been speculating, like, oh, could it be a return of Susan, like a tie-up of the Boss plotline? Maybe something tiny has been filmed. At least that's what this article says. As I say, it's only been 24 hours and people are already going, no, it's complete lies, something has been filmed. But this comes from the same person, Rich Johnson, who we talked about last week from Bleeding Cool. He is the guy that claimed he knew something had been filmed. He had an industry insider that said something had been filmed. But this is probably our weakest claim. Oh, I won't lie, we'll read it in a moment, but we do actually have a very, very accurate couple of things that have been posted to Gallifrey Base by the editor of Doctor Who magazine. Now, you may remember back in February, this guy was bang on. He was basically like, I don't think we're going to get that Christmas special, and he's been saying this for a good while. And I think he's given us the reason why over on Gallifrey Base. So let's break down this bonkers article first, and then we'll move into the 100% reliable look at what caused the BBC to not make this special this year. And it's not necessarily what you'd expect, okay? But they filmed something. I wonder what it was, says Rich Johnson. Doctor Who? More like Doctor When? More like Doctor Never, am I right? Now, I will point out that this guy, as a source, Radio Free Scaro, were like, yeah, he's just chatting a load of waffle. But let's just read the article, okay? Last week, I heard some rather tangential gossip, albeit with provenance, that Bad Wolf Studios with Russell T Davies has already filmed a Doctor Who Christmas special on a closed set, with few actors and keeping everything in-house, as part of a plan to get a Christmas special out there with no leaks, no press previews, nothing, as part of a big Christmas Day surprise.
Interesting.
I'm guessing that's part of a big Christmas Day surprise that would get the nation talking and watching like nothing else ever has. So yeah, this is the former article, which kind of like we were still skeptical of it, but it at least made a little bit more sense. If this was true, why would they come out and say there is no Christmas special if they filmed a Christmas special?
That would totally take away from viewership.
Without even a link, and suddenly there were YouTube videos everywhere. I don't know
Crazy.
who made those. And the person I'd spoken to suddenly went dark until today. Rich then goes through a couple of the...
If they did decide to just release something and come Christmas, now the audience is like, wow, you guys bullface lied to us. Now we really don't trust you. Like, there's a lot of conspiracy theory stuff floating around for sure.
Evidence points, which we are going to talk about later, that prove there was a script or there was something in development. Murray Gold, Russell's comments in Doctor Who magazine. But then he says, and then I get a message from the person I had spoken to those weeks ago. Well, they filmed something. I wonder what. I wonder what too. It'll be lonely this Christmas without Who to watch. Yeah, so this guy is basically gone, well, I had a source. The source was wrong, but the source has gone, no, they're wrong. Russell's lying. Everyone's lying. There's an episode. There's a thing. Right, look, it's not going to happen. The most likely case scenario.
I don't think it's going to happen.
If this were to happen, if there was something,
it's all the wishful
I
thinking.
Would be a Doctor reuniting with Susan at Christmas. But
I
don't think that.
I think they had a thing with Matt. They were talking about Matt bringing him back.
Reunites with Susan. Well,
and Matt said no.
Might actually be one of the big reasons that this special didn't happen. Okay, according to the reports from Gallifrey Base. So, actually, before we do jump into Gallifrey Base, if you had any other doubt that Rich Johnson's stuff here,
I think the real reason this didn't happen isn't because of any particular actor or anything. I think the reason this happened is because contracts have been pulled and changed. I think that's a big part of it. Clearly, Disney messed up Doctor Who. The fans absolutely were angry and upset with the way it was. Now, it's kind of polarized. You have one side that is very, oh my gosh, it was amazing, it was fantastic, it was so inclusive, and it was so... The other side, bigger base, is like, why? Why did you do this? You've ruined something that is nostalgic and something that's part of our lives and has been since we were kids. And I think there's really kind of there's probably a contract restructuring. There's probably a lot of insider like business stuff going on too. I don't think it's just, okay, we couldn't get Billy Piper back or Matt, or, there was talks, and I don't know how much value it is, but there was talks about couldn't find another doctor. We couldn't find another doctor. We didn't find anyone that wanted to take it over. That's all BS. Dude, I'm an American, but I'd take it in a heartbeat if someone offered me the position to be the next doctor. I mean, there are so many people out there that would love to be the next doctor. So that's not true. And as far as the scripting and all that, I don't know. But has it been canceled? Yeah, I absolutely believe that the Christmas special has been canceled. Absolutely. I just do.
He's an accurate Benjamin Cook, who is definitely in the know, the co-writer of The Writer's Tale, Russell's correspondent, Benjamin Cook.
Nothing was filmed. Your source was BSing you, and you fell for it. Yeah, I think there's a lot of BS going on.
Rich, give it up. Rich says, hey, you have the actual information. Give it up to us all. Benjamin Cook says, nothing was filmed. Your source was... insert word that I don't want to be demonetized for, you,
right?
And you fell for it. How's that? The fact you're still falling for it after today's announcement is the really nuts part. So if you need any confirmation, no. Before you comment,
it's crazy.
Comment, Joe, there's confirmation that something's been filmed. It hasn't. But what about Billy Piper possibly being one of the big reasons that this special couldn't be filmed? Well, let's have a look at the editor of Doctor Who magazine's posts on Gallifrey Base. For those of you who don't know, Gallifrey Base is, I mean, if you've heard the Ballad of Russell and Julie, it used to be Outpost Gallifrey. This is the place where like scary Doctor Who fans congregate to talk about more official leaks. Like Reddit is more waffly stuff sometimes. Gallifrey Base is usually bang on the money. And as I say, this is from an editor of Doctor Who magazine. and he's been basically saying the same since February. Someone asked yesterday, I can understand that reasoning, however, I can't help but wonder why RTD would end it giving the impression that Billie Piper was taking over. Surely he wouldn't have done that without being confident he could resolve such a big cliffhanger. Otherwise, why would she have agreed to appear? Then he says she only ever agreed to do the cameo. Now, I'm pretty sure this lines up with something else that he was saying earlier in the year, that everyone was sort of skeptical.
They're referring to an image of her through the window at the end. But I don't think that was even fresh film or fresh image. That was taken from a previous episode, I believe, where she's looking up at the sky.
On because they were like, okay, well, why would the BBC have not locked in Piper? Why would it not be confirmed? But let's just read a little bit more. If you'll remember as well, this time-ish last year, I think it was like July last year, Robert Sherman, writer of Dalek, worked with Russell and Co before. He said Doctor Who is as dead as it's ever been. And obviously he'd be a little bit more in the know, but he was basically like, we don't have a current Doctor, we don't have anything. Billie Piper showed up as a cameo favour. Like, there's no guarantee Piper would come back at all. What do we do? And then Jane Tranter had to
There will be a rebuild. Like, they'll come back.
That's really rude, actually. Which, I don't know why. There's just occasionally when people say certain things, like, it just sticks in my head. The way she said that, it's just lodged in my brain.
People come back.
But
they'll redo it.
Say, I think there may well have been hope to somehow go through with it, as in the special. But for a while, it's all seemed very unlikely. I saw Rob Sherman a short while afterwards, and we wondered if the timing of the announcement was partly down to his comments in Doctor Who magazine. Now, this is about the original post. The original, don't worry, there's a Doctor Who 2026 Christmas special. I am going to go through in a minute a timeline and break down exactly the events that I think took place, because I'm pretty sure after this we have a very good picture of exactly what went down, combining all of these reliable sources together in in-depth timeline of Christmas special to no Christmas special, which seemed weirdly ludicrous, but I do think it actually played a part, because the lack of news was becoming awkward and embarrassing. Poor Jane Tranter was made to look a bit silly and unprepared when she was presented with Rob's quotes during a radio interview, so this announcement confirming that the BBC was committed to giving Doctor Who a future seemed to give a bit of clarity. However, nobody connected with the show that I spoke to seemed to think that the special would actually go ahead, especially given Billie's unavailability. For reasons which must now seem clear, the announcement never stated that Billie would be in the special. So this is another thing that we have heard from other sources, and I've briefly mentioned in other videos. Billie not being available. We already know she's on like 3 different film projects this year. She's doing Wednesday, she's doing a short film, and she's doing some other film that I can't remember the name of. But where was she going to ever slip in Doctor Who in this schedule? Someone replies to
especially
that's
final
bizarre,
notice or last minute
but
thing.
RTD and Co. Ending on a cliffhanger like that with no guarantee of follow-up, what would they have done if a 2026 special had been commissioned as announced? It definitely was commissioned, guys, we'll come to this. But she was too busy or otherwise unwilling to appear. He replies, yes, everyone I spoke to a year ago found it a rather odd decision, especially as I'd gathered via a friend who knows Billie Piper's publicist that she had no intention of doing any more. But I suppose that could have potentially been worked out further down the track. I always thought it seemed pretty unlikely. Now, obviously, the message of this isn't, it's all Billie Piper's fault, blame her. That's not what we're saying at all.
No.
But by the sounds of this, and this is the most accurate sort of leaked source we have, Billie Piper was never going to do it. Like, this was never going to happen.
It was never planned.
This is a bizarre situation.
Well,
and I think...
And the situation, too, is fairly simple. It was kind of that sudden, hey, let's release the series, and thinking it was going to be able to continue on. And because it flopped so bad, and the critics and the viewers and everybody just shat all over it, it kind of left them in the air like, whoa, what do we do? And then now with the Disney thing, and I really don't see a Christmas special, but I do see them coming back probably next fall or next summer timeframe, maybe probably next fall, with another Doctor and revamping or redoing. There's a lot of things that got damaged that they kind of have to be erased and yet be explained and try to figure out what to do with. But I do think there will be another Doctor. I do think that they will continue down this process because it is extremely, extremely beloved by fans, and it is extremely profitable. And so I do believe that BBC will grab the reins, and which it looks like they are doing, and reel this back in and fix it and bring us more Doctor Who. I do see this actually happening.
Everyone at the BBC, Russell included, had scripts and fingers crossed, hoping that it was gonna pan out. There is no reason to keep that giant TARDIS set up if you're not going to film a Christmas special. That is going to be costing Bad Wolf a lot of money. It's one of the biggest sound studios in the whole of Wales, right? Like, they definitely thought this was happening, and I reckon it's been pushed and pushed and pushed to the final minute. Billie Piper's basically gone, I can't really give you any time. Russell's gone, well, we can't really do a special without Billie Piper. What do we do? BBC and Russell have had a little bit of a flim-flam, and then it's over. It's cancelled. Which, it's bizarre, but look, I've got a timeline, okay? This is exactly what I think happened and how it went down. While filming the Whoniverse show 20-year special for Doctor Who, Russell, Billie, David, they were all back in contact. Russell was like, bloody hell, we've had to reshoot the reality war in January and February. This is kind of chaos. Shoot is left early. Disney might not renew. There is a possibility. How do we get Disney to renew this show? Russell was panicking. What is the best way to make Disney renew the show? Give them a huge bonkers cliffhanger that means they will have to renew so that people can find out what happens. This is Russell's last-ditch plan to make Disney renew for season 3. But Shooty's pulled out. So what do you do? Well, it's kind of got to be a regeneration cliffhanger. Tennant? Well, you can't do Tennant because we just had him. Who else is Russell friends with? Who would do Russell a favour? Well, Catherine Tate's come back already. Freema Agyeman, maybe? She's probably busy. I don't know if she would. Also, it wouldn't quite have the same impact as Rose. There's something poetic about Rose coming back. Oh dear, what do we do? Okay, Billie, are you free? Would you like to help us try and keep Doctor Who on air? Try and keep Doctor Who on Disney Plus? Will you film this for us? Billie goes, yeah, sure, I'll dye my hair blonde. Why not? Because it's noticeable. In Unleashed, she had brown hair. And then like a week later, she's suddenly blonde and she's back in Doctor Who. But that was the last roll of the dice. Russell's almost final nuclear option of please Disney Plus renew us so that we can round out this era or just continue Doctor Who going forward. Look at this Instagram post from last year as well. The evidence is plain as day.
What?
Disney hadn't pulled out yet. They're still replying. Russell puts that picture on his story. Oh, hello, it's Billie Piper's chair on the TARDIS set. And I'm pretty sure that is the new TARDIS. So someone will have found Billie's chair out of storage and whacked it on the outside of the new TARDIS set. It's all just bonkers. But Disney reply underneath, hello. Russell made it abundantly this is to get the headlines. This is to get Disney to renew. But Disney didn't renew. Disney left it in limbo. Disney waited for season 2's viewing figures to fully come in and then went, you know what, this isn't working out. Good cliffhanger, mate, but we're off. Russell at
We're
that
off
point
to
would have
see
gone,
the wizard, the
bugger.
wonderful Wizard of
What does
Oz.
he do now? If Disney aren't renewing and there's not immediate funding, what do they do with that Piper cliffhanger? Well, Disney pull out and the BBC go, look, if you're pulling out of this deal, right, we want to air The War Between the Land and the Sea this Christmas. It's a good schedule. That's when it'll make the BBC the most profit, the most views. They want to air it then. Disney go, yeah, honestly, we don't care, mate. Sorry about the breakup. You can keep The War Between the Land and the Sea. You can have full custody. So they give The War Between the Land and the Sea over to iPlayer. They release it. But while we're in the run-up to The War Between, every question about that show is going to be, what's going on with Doctor Who? What's going on with Doctor Who? What's going on with Doctor Who? So, at the Bad Wolf 10th anniversary party, according to Radio Free Scaro, Russell, Jane, Julie, all of that lot have a chat and go, okay, one last big bombastic special, wrap it all up, and then we'll leave. So that The War Between doesn't get any bad press. They go to the press and they say, look, don't panic.
Yeah, maybe that does make it does make sense. So I just watched all of the War Between the Land and the Sea, and I haven't given my review on that yet, and I'm going to. But it's interesting what he's saying here, because on its own merits, it's the War Between the Land and the Sea is completely separate from Doctor Who, even though it takes place in the universe of Doctor Who.
A Doctor Who Christmas special is on the way, 2026. We have no idea how or who or what's going to happen in it, but we'll do one. We'll keep this show on air. Russell is determined to keep Doctor Who alive. And as they pointed out in those Gallifrey base things, there was no confirmation of Piper in this, which is fascinating, because they didn't have her, and by the sounds of it, her publicist and all that, she didn't want to do it anyway.
So
then we get to the area of the War Between the Land and the Sea, and Russell goes into showrunner mode, in which he says this. He tells them, BBC bosses started levitating and flying and spinning round at my genius plan. I reckon he did have a plan. He hadn't written the script yet. He says in these War Between the Land and the Seas interviews, he goes, I haven't started writing the script. That will happen early next year, because he's been busy with Tiptoe, he's been busy with the War Between.
Right.
So Russell had his plans here. And then I think in early 2026 even, this is when we get the Doctor Who magazine, where he says, next December I'll be here to trumpet and toot about the 2026 Christmas special.
Right.
It contains these 3 words: Bafflers, Winternox and Village. Russell started writing the script in early 2026.
And then it was pulled.
He makes multiple drafts, because they don't know whether Billy can come back, they don't know whether Tennant can come back, they don't know who's on board for this 2026 Christmas special, but it's costing them a lot of money. They're keeping the TARDIS set up at Bad Wolf. What's the plan? What's going to happen? And this sort of limbo keeps happening, keeps going on, until this drops in April, which is really not that long ago. In April, Russell also says in Doctor Who magazine, let people experience it fresh on television. Wouldn't it be great if we got this year's Doctor Who Christmas special and nothing had been spoilt and everything was new? Why do we do it any other way? He said...
Whoa! Okay. Theory that most people, I'm sure I'm kind of late on this. I probably am, usually. But what if all of this, it's been canceled, nothing's going on, nothing's happening, is because of this? They want people's eyes to be over here, meanwhile they're over here doing filming. And maybe that's why a lot of people are looking at it, and why people can't seem to believe that it's been canceled, or don't believe that it's been canceled.
Saying there, once again, he wasn't asked about it here. He is volunteering this information, teasing Doctor Who fans, going, don't worry, a special is on the way.
Why do we do it another way?
I reckon Wednesday, with Billie Piper, the filming was delayed. Talks between her and Russell and the BBC to star in this special completely fell through. She didn't have time. She didn't really want to do it as such. Not that she didn't want to do it, but just to fit it all in was too much. They wouldn't be able to get this special done by 2026. So what, do you delay the special? Maybe, but it's costing Bad Wolf to keep the setup, it's costing all of these things. It's probably not worth it for the future of the show. I reckon Russell and the BBC have like a sort of a big chat and go like, yeah, maybe it's best if we just sort of break up. And then they break up.
Let's walk away from it.
Here we are today with the announcement that the special wasn't really happening. But I definitely think somewhere out there exists a draft or a story outline or a script. Russell definitely had a little bit of an idea. I like to think. But let me know what you think in the comments down below. As everyone did enjoy, please remember to like, comment, subscribe and share. It all really helps me out a lot. This channel is going to need all the support you guys can give it now that Doctor Who is having a nap, because having a Doctor Who related YouTube channel as a primary source of income is quite worrying right now. But cheers.
I can see that.
For just $1.99 you can become a channel member, get some extra videos. Cheers, thank you, see you in the next one. Goodbye.